It's Yemi Bakayoko. Oh, yeah. Samina mina. Edward Mende. Samina mina Sam Sadakte. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Sowell was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Tonight's episode got a little bit different of a full house than usual. I got myself, Andy. You can find me on Twitter at Comiskey North. We've got a guy who honestly loves sitters more than Kai Havertz, and that's Matt at Matus Lee. And we got guest host tonight, Hector Showtime Ortega.
Yeah.
Boys, how we doing tonight?
Good. Gucci. I think I'm the first Mexican on your podcast, am I? I don't know.
Yeah, breaking records. I like it.
Yeah.
We're all about it. All about it. Yeah, we're doing good. It's a good night of potting. You know, a little later than usual, but with the holidays we adjust on the fly. But we're here. We're doing good. Collins, how are you?
I'm living the dream. My son just got a whole bunch of Nintendo Switch games, so I've been playing those all day while he's been doing other things. So no, it's been good. Well, let's get right into it because we do have a lot to talk about today. And before we do that, as always, we're going to cheers to the number that this episode is on. So tonight we are on episode number 20. Matt, we're getting into the weeds here.
Yep.
So, Hector, what we do, we pick a player who has worn the number 20 in the past, and then we cheers, take a drink, honor that player. So here's some options for you guys. We got the current holder, Dennis Zakaria. We got Callum Hudson-Odoi, Matt Miazga, Victor Moses, Josh McEachran, and Deco.
I love that. Deco's a great player. Fun fact, Callum is actually my favorite player in the Chelsea squad. I know he's on loan at Bayer. But I actually got my jersey upstairs that's signed by him. I got it signed from him in Florida this year. So that's my boy, Odoi.
Nice.
Collins, what about you? You normally go last, so.
Oh, dude, the first Cobham graduate that I ever really got attached to, Josh McEachran. Didn't do shit in his career, but goddamn, he was my favorite player for a couple of years there. So he's my vote.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Deco, you know, the name alone kind of sells it there. You know, I was a little bit later to the Chelsea squad when we first kind of started following and everything like that. I don't know. To me, I have to go with at least somebody that I know and that I can kind of familiarize myself with, and I would say Callum Hudson-Odoi. I'm full board on that. I wouldn't say he's my favorite player, but I can respect what's there. So
I'm just glad you didn't say Miazga because I would have. Jesus.
Collins, I'm surprised you didn't wear your Miazga jersey.
It's my Miazga number 3 jersey.
Oh,
the 3 is peeling off. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed I didn't come on episode 21 because 21 is my favorite number and my jersey has 21 on it that I'm wearing right now. So
hey, all goes well. You can come back next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll cheers to Callum Hudson-Odoi, and with that, our beer of the week comes from our Mobcraft Advent calendars. It was day number 24. We're a little bit late on it, but it is the limited release Padisha 2022, which is a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout and at 11% alcohol. it's a doozy. So
sounds like a doozy.
right. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Water, because drink and drink.
Ooh, yeah, Matt, that does have a kick to it.
Yep, it's a good one. You're definitely only going to have one of those.
Yeah, should be a good rest of the pod.
Yep.
All right. Well, on tonight's pod, we're going to talk a little bit about Chelsea's 2-0 victory against Bournemouth, restarting the Premier League season. And hey, we went undefeated in December for the first time in how many years? And then we'll talk a little bit about international football, talk a little CONCACAF with Hector here, and maybe wrap up the World Cup a little bit. I know Hector's got some thoughts on that as well. So first things first, let's talk a little Chelsea. Again, 2-0, definitely could have been more. Had some highs, had some lows. Definitely Reece James coming out injured was a bit of a low. But what are your guys' first impressions on the match?
Well, it was a good match. I'm not gonna get hyped about it because it's Bournemouth. But the boys played well, and I guess it plays a part, towards their confidence. Kepa, it's Kepa. He's on fire. Can't stop that man right now. Silva was shaking in the back a couple times. I didn't like that. Koulibaly was all right. Then you had who else? Cucurella he was kind of, I don't know. He was kind of just there, if I'm being honest. He was all right. Reece James, obviously, unfortunately, he got injured. Hopefully it's not that bad. I would give him another month off, honestly. If it's not, even if it's like not that bad, just give him some time, let him recover, just heal up fully, hopefully. Zakaria was good in terms of botting people off the ball, but he lost the ball a couple times, which irritated me. Jorginho was actually giving some good passes today. Surprisingly, he didn't pass backward or sideways, so it's always good to see. Pulisic, he had a couple good dribbles. Other than that, it wasn't, he had an okay game. I like Pulisic more as a sub. Coming on, he's fast and he's better running at defenders. And I don't know, I just don't see him as a starter much. But he did okay today. Mount was, that pass that he gave before the goal was tremendous, and then the shot was just. It was a great shot. Finally put one in the basket. Who else? Sterling was good. Like Sterling, he was running down the right wing, giving balls, trying to give the 1 and 2s. And yeah, Havertz, he was good. Got his goal. I know a lot of people dreading him starting, but like I said again, it's Bournemouth. We shouldn't let it hype us up, but hopefully it gives them the confidence that they need, because obviously it's been a shaky season, and I don't see it getting a lot better. I don't see it getting top 4, but today, it was a good match. Like Andy said, undefeated in December, so we'll take those for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think when myself, Andy, and Parker were talking, as soon as Silva picked up that knock or that hamstring, I'm like, all right, here we go. It's going to be subbed off in 10 minutes. And, to his credit, he gutted it out. And I thought that was big. But I mean, Cucurella, again, he's just kind of out there because nobody else can play that position. Chills is obviously still recovering, and it's going to be a while. I would say my 2 biggest takeaways would be Reece James, both the positive and negative. He opened up that entire right side from the onset of the game, and we have not seen that in a long time. It's amazing the difference that he makes just by being on the pitch and flying up that right side. So I thought he was exceptional that way. Obviously, the injury speaks for itself. It's the same knee, same area. Obviously, yeah, you want to get him touches. I don't think that Potter probably planned for him to go a full 90. I don't think that was the plan, but unfortunately, he just got injured before that could happen. but it is what it is. I think the other big thing was Mendy not on the team sheet at all. I think kind of a very, very under the radar thing that was just kind of not talked about, but could potentially speak volumes to his future. Like, we all know that he wants, to be in that Kepa price range as far as wages go and everything like that. Yeah, he has AFCON and, all that other stuff and that 1.5 good seasons and stuff like that. But he's being outplayed right now. And going into a contract negotiation, you don't have a lot of ground to stand on if you want to be paid like a number one keeper and the number two is outplaying you. You don't have much to go on. I thought that was something that wasn't talked about, but again, could be a much larger talking point as the season kind of restarts and picks back up.
Well, we saw reports this week that Mendy turned down a 6-year contract at Chelsea because, again, he wasn't, like Matt, like you said, he wasn't getting the Kepa money. And we saw this last year with Christensen, where obviously under a different regime, but you don't want to play ball, then you're going to be frozen out of the squad. And I think that's what we saw today. But are you guys surprised but you guys both hit on Reece James a little bit. Obviously had a good game before the injury, but are you guys surprised that he started in this one?
Yeah, looking back, yeah, I would say I am. I would have given, like I said, some more time. And you can see the game change so bad after he got off. Like, the speed was gone. It's like everybody was just slowing down, and maybe it was out of fear of getting injured, or I would say that it's also because he brings so much to the game that, like, you could tell, like, the game just was sluggish after he got off. So he brought so much on that right wing, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but what can you do? I don't know. Maybe it was rushed. I think it was rushed, Sandy, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly surprised by it. I wouldn't say that, like, yeah, he should have been in there. I'm not saying that, but I'm not knocking the fact that I wouldn't have been surprised to see him kept out of the squad. Again, I think the plan for him was to maybe go 60, 65 minutes and just didn't get to that point. And for obviously the injury, whatever had happened. But it's just unfortunate. I don't think he was ready to go a full 90 at all. I know that he was in Abu Dhabi training with the team and everything like that, but no, I don't think the plan was ever a full 90. So, it sucks. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. Yeah, don't play him, right? But on the flip side, do we score those 2 goals without the threats that he had going down the right side and kind of opening things up in the middle of the pitch? So, I mean, you kind of have to look at it both ways. So I think that all the runs that he made, the passes, the crosses, it indirectly helped those 2 goals.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of revisionist history going on here. I think everyone, when the team sheet came out, was excited to see Reece James. And I think you're right. I think it's, maybe he goes 60 minutes, 65 minutes, something like that. And dude, freak injuries happen, unfortunately, with Reece James. So, it is what it is, but it was nice to finally see him back after being out for a while here. And then looking at the goals that were scored, boy, they were some good ones. And Kai Havertz had missed a couple sitters previously. And again, it's Bournemouth. He missed the Cucurella lob ball into the box, missed the header, but did really well on that run into the box to convert on that goal. And again, as you guys had mentioned, Mason Mount with a great pass to begin with. Jorginho had a great pass to set that all up. Raheem Sterling with a good run in there. Well worked first team goal. Pecker, it's a theme on this pod where as soon as a player scores, I like to say that they're back. Are either of Kai Havertz or Mason Mount back?
No, don't get hyped up, man. I wouldn't. Havertz is not consistent. Mount is definitely not consistent. Somebody made a comment. They're like, didn't Havertz score a hat trick? In a friendly. I'm like, yeah, against Bradford. People need to relax with the friendlies. Like, yes, friendlies they'll tell you a side. They'll tell you two sides. Like either we're good or we're bad, obviously. But obviously the friendlies in the summer they said a lot. For sure, for this side. And it's definitely shown throughout the season. We got blasted by Arsenal 4-0 and a friendly. I was there, unfortunately. That was the one game I went to. We played decent against America. Barely, though. Who was the third match?
Was that Charlotte?
Charlotte, yeah. We lost against Charlotte.
Intense.
Forgot about that. So, yeah, I mean that match against Arsenal showed me a lot. I was in, I don't even know why I'm going back, but yeah, I wouldn't let them hype you up, man. I mean, Mount's just too inconsistent, and so is Havertz. So give him the props today for sure, but I wouldn't say that they're back at all. I mean, yeah, you would hope, but I wouldn't go that far yet.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of interesting that the three people that linked up on the goal, Mount, Raz, Havertz, they didn't have outstanding World Cups. Like Havertz scored 2 goals or 3 goals, but 2 of them were kind of in garbage time when they were already getting out of the group stage. Like, fine, but it's good to see them kind of recovering from the early exits that their teams had, who were supposed to be up there as far as the World Cup goes. They were supposed to be contenders. Now, I wouldn't say top of the top, but they were supposed to be contenders. It's good to see them kind of recovering from a lackluster World Cup from their standpoint, and to come back to the club and be able to produce the way that they did today. Obviously the Mount goal, we all saw it, we all watched it. Beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. There's really not much else you can say about it. That's, I think, what we've come to expect out of him, and it's a very high bar, right? Sometimes he meets it, sometimes he doesn't, and I think everybody is trying to make sure that he hits that bar every single game. That's just impossible, right? We have to be realistic about it. But I do agree. I think Mount has been too inconsistent based on what we've seen him do in the past. And Havertz has been consistently inconsistent since he's been at Chelsea. Like, something's got to give. And granted, yeah, he's not number 9. I get that. But at the end of the day, you still got to convert. Like, I remember he was in the box, forgot what minute it was, but he had a clear shot and he tugged it. I'm like, at least put the ball on frame. I don't care if it's saved. Put the ball on frame. You had all this space. It's stuff like that is very frustrating. But, you kind of have to take it, right? We don't have a clear out and out number 9. So we're kind of slotting somebody who can hopefully try and fill that void.
I mean, historically, both of those guys have poached on terrible teams. Mason Mount specifically with like Norwich City. So, I mean, the stretch we have coming up outside of back-to-backs against Man City, this is going to be a decent stretch for these guys. It wouldn't surprise me to see both of them heat up here. You got Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Crystal Palace, struggling Liverpool, and then Fulham again. So that I think there's room for these guys to kind of build up confidence, and then only to be torn down as we head into the later part of the season.
Once they give us the hope,
yeah, just enough that we don't sell them in January.
Nah, we're not selling. If Havertz, we wouldn't sell until like at least next summer. That's if they even think about letting him go. But I don't know. Then again, we sold Werner, so who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, it's been nice to see him not doing much out in Red Bull. So, maybe the Bundesliga isn't all it's cracked up to be. All right. Well, any closing thoughts on the match today, boys?
I would say, if anything, like, a win's a win, right? 3 points is 3 points. And for majority of the match, we looked in control, which is what we would expect against on paper, a lesser side. I say on paper because we've already been screwed over by that many times. But it looked like a proper Chelsea performance for 3/4 of the match. So I'm happy that we were able to get the job done, handle our business, and then on to the next week.
Yeah, we're only 6 points out of fourth behind Spurs, and we have a game in hand on them. So maybe a good January, and we're back in contention there, which would be a plus. All right. Well, let's turn our attentions to the international game here. Hector, where do you want to start? You want to give us some World Cup takes, or you want to talk a little CONCACAF?
Both in one, really.
Okay, I'm all for it.
Let's see, CONCACAF and World Cup, mediocre and pathetic. I think that's the worst I've ever seen CONCACAF in the World Cup. I think every team just sucked. Canada was, you expected them to do a lot more. They were first in the Hex. They were flying, beating everybody, and they get to the World Cup and they freeze. Costa Rica, I think they got the best win out of all the teams, to be honest. Who did they beat again? I think
Germany, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they beat Germany. So, they got the best win, but Germany went out in the group stage as well. So, doesn't really say much. U.S. Obviously, U.S. men's national team fans will back them and whatever, but they drew a very weak Wales team. They drew an England that they should have beaten, honestly, because England did not show up at all. Then you got them beating Iran, which they were ecstatic about, it's Iran. And then they got blasted by Netherlands. So I was talking to a U.S. fan yesterday or the day before, I think, and he was like, they did exactly what I wanted them to do. I was like, really, bro? Like, this is apparently your golden generation. Like, you should be expecting more. Like, yeah, they're young, but you guys are calling them the golden generation, so you should be, aspiring to more, in my opinion. So, yeah, no. I'm not saying that they look bad, but I think they did everything well except for just getting the end product. They couldn't finish for nothing. But in my opinion, they look good. Especially the midfield. The midfield is very good. McKennie's a good player, and I like McKennie, and that's saying a lot because I got beef with the U.S. men's national team. Mexican fan, but McKennie's a great player. I'll give props whenever it's due. I think McKennie's the best U.S. player. If I had to pick one, I know that kid is good too. Musa, right? Musa.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good player, versatile and stuff. But McKennie for sure. I think he's the glue in that midfield. And getting to Mexico. For years, I've been saying it. Get rid of Martino. He's, nobody could ever give me a straight answer as to what his tactics were. He started off well with us, 4-3-3, basic football. Run down from the wing, shoot from the wing, or pass it to the number 9, score. But then, teams eventually figure you out, especially with basic tactics like the one that he had. And I was saying it for years. I was like, we could still get rid of him. We could still do a decent World Cup. We have the players to do a good World Cup. That's what I was saying for the longest. the Mexican Federation didn't listen to me, obviously, and we had to deal with them. And it was a frustrating match against Poland. We should have done a lot more in that match. Very frustrating match against Argentina. We could have done so much more against them. Instead of going for it, he put out a 5-3-2. We did fuck all. And wait, am I allowed to cuss?
Oh, yeah,
go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck all against Argentina, which was very frustrating. The players that I expected to do more at this World Cup did not do anything. Alexis Vega, Irwin Lozano. I expected a lot more from them. Jorge Sanchez was terrible, in my opinion. And we took dinosaurs like Hector Ortega, Guardado. Moreno did good. I think he was the only good veteran player, in my opinion. We took players like Funes Mori, who only played for a couple minutes, which was pointless. Raul Jimenez, who hasn't been good since his head injury. And the third match against Saudi Arabia, they left it late to play well. They played a decent game against Saudi Arabia, just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. And we won 2-1, and we went out, and very frustrating for sure. I think the most frustrating World Cup that I've ever seen, obviously. I'm not that, old. So, for sure, that was frustrating. Well, in a way. Because, obviously 2002, we went out against the U.S. in the round of 16. I was 7 years old. I don't really remember much.
Hey, you were a baby.
Yeah, I didn't get into football until 9. No, 8. So I didn't watch that one. 2006, obviously the heartbreak against Argentina was, Jesus, that was, that goal from Argentina was just insane. 2010, again, the refs kind of screwed us over a little bit against Argentina. 14, Netherlands broke my heart. It was no era penal. I don't think it was a penalty, in my opinion. 2018, the hope was there after Germany, and then we didn't do anything against Brazil. So this year, I will admit that I broke my heart a lot. I didn't expect a lot from this team, but I'm a diehard fan. I'm always going to support them no matter what. It's like that one friend that, just keeps disappointing you, and, you keep backing them up because, they're your best friends. So you break your heart, but it is what it is. I will admit that I did drop some tears out of frustration this year. I'm too passionate about this sport. And to me, it's more than a sport. I always say this. I think everybody's heard this about me. It's a way of life for me. So, disappointing for Mexico. And overall, for me, and in my opinion, disappointing for CONCACAF. I think no one should be proud of any team in CONCACAF. We should all be inspired. I think the U.S. and Mexico should be aspiring for more. I mean, the U.S., they dominate in so much of the sports. Instead of asking for so much money of these kids to join clubs, they should, invest in these kids to grow players. It's a lot of it is about money in the U.S. and so is Mexico. I think Mexico has so much talent, but money talks down there as well, unfortunately. So I think Mexico and the U.S. should just. They have to go for it in 2026. It's in our backyard. Even if the matches are in the U.S. or Mexico. Like 90% of that stadium is going to be Mexican. So, I don't know. I'm kind of just tired of. The U.S. has a talent. They can aspire for more, for sure. Mexico has a talent. They can aspire for more. We have to be able to, compete with these European teams, these South American teams. I think we're hitting a point where it's like you guys have young players, the U.S. national team, and we have the players. But we just need I think Mexico just needs a restructuring in the federation, get rid of everyone there, and go from there, and build from something new and aspire for something in 2026. So, I think 2026 has to be come on, man. I think Mexico and U.S. have to show out. They have to. I don't see why or how they can't, but I think, in my opinion, I think they have to be two huge catalysts in that World Cup.
Was this kind of a last hurrah for this Mexican group? I don't follow them closely, but it seemed like they have a lot of kind of aging guys on that team.
Oh, exactly. Like they didn't give the youth a chance. You have so many great players. They have great players. They have the players, but you had a jackass in Martino that he's trash, man. I've seen two. Well, from the teams that I watch, I'm a Mexico and Chelsea guy. From the two teams that I watched, I've seen two horrible managers, and I'm just like, what the hell are you doing there? First one being Sarri. I think.
Oh, come on.
He was pathetic, and he was stubborn with his tactics, and he refused to change his tactics, and that was just a shit show. I think our players really got us at Europa League. I don't give Sarri any credit. I think our players were like, hey, we got to do this for ourselves, so let's just go for it. And then,
especially Kepa.
Yeah, and that's my manager right there. Exactly. And then Martino, I think those two guys are just stubborn and they refuse to change for the betterment of the team. So, like you said, the players, he took old players. Why was Hector Herrera there? Why was he there? Guardado's a good player, but he's older now. And like I said, the only good player that was old and did his thing was Moreno. He was a good center back, for the World Cup. And but now it's time to go. It's time to go. They gotta go. I don't care. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say not to take Ochoa in 2026. I mean, obviously goalkeepers can last for a while. And I wouldn't start him. I would keep him as like a number 2. But yeah, it's the last hurrah for sure. If I see them in the next call up, like I don't care if it's for Nations League or Gold Cup, I would be very pissed because it's time to give the youth the opportunity to make something happen.
Is Chucky Lozano a bust?
No, he's playing well for Napoli right now.
Okay. Sorry, for the national team. Because the couple matches I've watched, he's been like I remember all the hype around him and all that, but I don't know if like you said, no one knows what the tactics are, or if it's the players around him, or
it's that for sure. The tactics, and he just can't finish for shit. He's not good at finishing. For Napoli, he finishes for some reason, but not for others. Chucky's he's similar to Pulisic. I think they both have similarities, but their finishing is garbage. I mean, sometimes Pulisic will score like a goal with his left foot, top right corner. I'm like, God damn. But they have very similar characteristics. I'll shit on Pulisic anytime because it's the U.S. fans, like they're so delusional. Like, I should be starting every game, and they don't treat him well. It's like, shut the hell up, man. Like that's why I hated when we brought him. I was like, here we go. I saw the guys with the Pulisic number 10 jerseys, and I was like, oh god, no, 22 jerseys. I was like, god damn it. He shows out, but like I said, I like him more as a son. But Chucky for the national team though, 50-50. I think. Yeah. Unfortunately, he was injured Gold Cup 2019 and 2020. No. Yeah. So, no, 2021. Sorry. So 2019 and 2021, he was injured in both. So he hasn't been able to play those. But hopefully this coming year he gets a lot more games. And but yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. 50-50. Yes and no as a bust. Because like I said, he's had to play under Martino, and Martino's just trash. And yeah, I'm just glad he's gone. If I see that guy in person, I'm just going to tell him he's this is jackass dickhead, because that guy. I for the longest I was looking at these matches and I was like, how is this guy still here? Like, man, there's a lot, man. Like the Mexican Federation, you would think obviously all these federations, all they care about is money. Well, no. Well, yes and no. Some care about the money and to win trophies. Mexico, as long as they make money, that's all they give a shit about.
It must be a CONCACAF thing.
Right? I think the FBI needs to investigate the Mexican Federation.
Well, they took down FIFA. It shouldn't be that hard to take down CONCACAF.
Exactly. So, you would imagine like, hey man, you guys want more money, right? Yeah. Well, okay, get rid of this dickhead, get better results. Who am I, right? I'm just a guy, giving opinions.
Yeah. We'll vote for you when you run on the board next year for the Mexican Federation.
Oh, man. Make Mexico great again.
I love it.
Jesus.
But I will agree. I expected more out of CONCACAF as a whole. So when we went through and we took like our picks out of group stage, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Costa Rica get into the group stage. Like, they are a sneaky, or historically they have been a sneaky good defensive team. They've always been pretty resolute. Again, where the goal is going to come from, but they've always held their own on the defensive side of the ball. And I always think that they're a very slept-on team. Mexico, I thought that they greatly underperformed. I definitely expected more. I think from our perspective, the U.S. did not meet expectations, but for the general non-football knowing community that are watching the World Cup, they met expectations and probably exceeded them because they don't know what the expectations actually were. Canada, again, a lot of hype, and they just failed miserably. Like, I had high hopes for Canada, especially watching some of their matches. I'm like, these guys can fly. But their goalkeeper was absolute shit. I really don't know where they got him from. They probably found him in Toronto or something on the street. He was terrible. Everything runs through Alphonso Davies. If he's not on the pitch, you're screwed. Tejan Buchanan, not a great World Cup for him, and he was supposed to be kind of that number 2 to Davies. Again, nothing there. It just showed at a whole how much that CONCACAF is still behind the powerhouse nations of Europe and South America.
Africa.
Even Africa. Yeah. It just shows that we are still so far behind, and we are not really doing anything to catch up. We think we're getting better, but everybody else is getting better exponentially. We're taking it 1 year at a time. They're getting better exponentially year by year. And we're still expecting, them to be like, oh, okay, well, we had a good run with this team and blah, blah, blah. So, our team's coming up. We're going to be good in 4 years. So are they. Like, they have a good crop of talent coming in as well. And people that dedicate themselves to their sport. Like, soccer in the U.S. is arguably the number 5 most watched sport in the U.S. I said arguably. I probably
we just talked about this last week, Matt.
I'm just saying I would probably watch hockey over MLS, but like it just is. Everybody in the U.S., their attention is focused on everything that the U.S. dominates. So we have this perception that the U.S. should dominate when, if you look at it at a grand scale, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, that's very specific to the U.S. Like, yes, we have the best players on the planet in those 3 leagues. Like, we do. It's not the same for hockey or even football with the MLS. Like, no, it's just not even close. And the expectations are so high for non-football watching people that it creates this deception of, oh, they did really good. No, that's not the goal. The goal is to win. But again, CONCACAF as a whole, I expected a lot more, and I was disappointed with how all the teams ended up doing.
I will say Parker is the one who's not on the pod tonight, and he had 3 CONCACAF teams going into the knockout stages when we did our predictions. So I think he's a little bit higher on all these teams than we are. My last note is I feel bad for Keylor Navas. He probably one of the better goalies of our generation, and he gets not that he got stuck, but has to play for Costa Rica, and who was just probably never going to do much. They had that one run. What was that? 2014. Thank you. But I mean, outside of that, he's stuck with playing with Joel Campbell for the majority of his international career, and he deserves better. He needs to get either Mexican or American citizenship or something here.
Just like Davies, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last segment here, we'll get to some mailbag that we got for you, Hector. But
wait, I saw some of them. So.
But with Christmas just wrapping up here, if you had to make a footballing Christmas list, either for Mexico, for Chelsea, or for the world in general, what would be the number one thing that you hope you'd get for Christmas?
I think you can guess what it is, man. Like I would die happy if this were to ever happen in my lifetime, and it would be, Mexico winning the World Cup, man. Like that's like the number one dream. Number one. I mean, I already saw Chelsea win the Champions League, twice, and Mexico, man. Please, God, hope. I would die a very happy man, definitely.
Collins?
Matt, I feel like we've been hinting at mine for the last couple of weeks here, and Todd Boehly splashes that cash, brings in an unsettled Kylian Mbappe. He stays here for a decade and becomes the player of a generation.
That was my second, to be honest.
Yes, there we go. Matt, for the record, hates that idea.
Ooh.
Okay. That make me out to be the bad guy. I want to be very careful about the price that we pay for him. That's my only thing.
Throw whatever at that man.
Yes, thank you.
He won the World Cup. He's on his way to being one of the greatest of all time. He's a generational player, man.
What's an acceptable transfer fee for Kylian Mbappe?
You asking me?
Yeah.
That's a very good question, man. You go first.
we I think, Matt, what did we agree on? Like 350? Parker and I agreed on. Matt wants him on a free.
Well, I mean, I would love him on a free. Like, who wouldn't? No, I set mine because he was 220 to move to PSG.
Yeah,
I said 275. I would be comfortable with 275. 350, you're getting into locking down a lot of money on somebody that could very easily go somewhere else. And we all know the ties that he has with Madrid and all that stuff. So
make all your money back.
I'm just saying I'd be comfortable at 275.
I'm gonna have to go with Matt. I think 275 is a reasonable price to pay. Obviously, they would probably ask for more, but 275 is a comfortable, obviously 275 is still, a lot of money, but
right.
Hey, I think it's still a good, price point, if I'm being honest.
Or he's going to go play with Cristiano Ronaldo and make $1 billion a week.
Oh God, that's a topic for another pod.
I want that one. I'm a CR7 fan, so.
You gonna watch a lot of Saudi League, or?
No, I'll find a stream, huh?
There you go.
Make it work.
I hope he doesn't. I still think he has a lot to give, if I'm being honest. But we'll see.
So my Christmas wish list. Give me a striker that can finish, that will wear the number 9 and break the curse. I need somebody to put the ball in the back of the net consistently. That's all I want. That's really all I want.
It's a valid wish. Who would you go for?
For 275, Mbappe.
Okay. Let's be realistic, though. Like, realistically, who would you go for?
Ooh. I mean, who would I ideally like to go for in the short term, like 2-3 year? I'd be fine with Lewandowski.
Mm-hmm.
I would be fine with him. Collins, I know that you want Olivier Giroud back.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Like, it's fine with me. Like, I just want somebody that we're not going to blow the bank on, but somebody that can also produce. Like, again, like a Diego Costa. We didn't pay an arm and a leg for him, and he produced. Like, I want to find something of that caliber. Who that player is, I couldn't tell you. There's
one player in the league that I think fits like a Costa, if I'm being honest. And I don't think he would be that expensive. I would hope not. It would be, for me, Mitrovic, if I'm being honest.
I was just thinking the same thing. I would take him.
He's a good player, man. He's a very good player. And, I mean, you don't think, I would hope Fulham wouldn't ask that much. I mean, easily 35 to 50 at best. And that's not, you're not splashing 375 or, 375.
Right.
I think he's a good player and he's good in the air. He's good at finishing, I think it'd be.
He's just a bull. He's an absolute bull up top.
Yeah.
And I love that. And that's what I think this team needs, is somebody up there. And unfortunately, like, you could see glimpses of it with Broya. Obviously, he's out for the rest of the season, but you could see glimpses of it where he could just hold off defenders, no problem. Obviously, the finishing wasn't there, but he's only, 19? So it's going to come with time, but he showed glimpses of it. So, but I would not be opposed to that. And Collins, your boy, Ivan Toney, I think that would be an intriguing one.
If he's not about to be suspended for the rest of his life, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's got 283 counts of gambling getting pressed against him, but whatever. Pete Rose did it. He's fine. He's still making millions.
Baseball reference drink. Thank you.
Yep. That's what I
said. Go Red Sox.
Oh. All right, we'll turn to the mailbag.
Maybe with the mailbag. Let's go.
Say, Collins, you're a Sox fan, just the wrong color.
Yeah. All right. So we put it out today. We're going to have Hector on the pod, and we got quite the response. A lot of questions for the pod here. We'll start with an easy one. From @_transaddict. Is London currently blue or red?
Man. Obviously, Arsenal are playing well. For that to, automatically turn London red, I would say no. If they win it, if they win the league, sure, you can be red for a couple of months until the league starts up again. But, obviously that's a tough pill to swallow. Nobody wants to, have that. But, they're playing well. You got to, even though they're rivals, you got to give them the credit. As a football fan, I got to give credit when, it's deserved. And you got to give them credit. They're playing well. They've stuck with their manager for, a couple years now, and he's finally got the formula for them to, be the team that they are right now. And you got to give it to them.
Yeah, I still think that London is blue.
For sure.
Obviously, have a little bit of bias towards that, but Arsenal hasn't done shit since 2006?
What is it?
4? 6?
Well, I think they won the league in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. Am I? I don't know. But they did reach the Champions League final in 06, right?
Yeah. I love that you threw out the number 4 because that's usually where they finish.
Exactly. Well, not recently, but yeah.
Well, right, but I mean, they've been again. They haven't been. I wouldn't say like actual title contenders for
18 years at least.
For almost a couple decades. You throw in maybe a season here or there, but Chelsea has consistently been up there. So I still think it is blue until Arsenal proves, which currently they are. Don't get me wrong, they currently are. But until they can prove that on a more than just one season basis, it's got to be the consistent favorite. So I think it's still blue.
Let me throw this out there before I forget. Fuck you, Trance.
That's a good way to end that one.
I love it.
So next up, do you believe in the Graham Potter project? And that's from I can't pray. It's Chris.
Shout out to Chris. That's a tough one, man. Do I believe in it? Not yet. I wouldn't say I believe in it yet, but I mean, we're giving it a shot. Do I see him lasting? No. When's the last time we saw? Well, I was hoping for Lampard to last. I think that was the last guy. That was hopefully he can last, but I already knew Tuchel was going to last. It was just the way the things were going. Yeah, do I believe in it? Not yet. Could it be something? Maybe. Who knows? We just, obviously we got to give it time.
I do believe in it if he is allotted the time to do what he needs to do. Because a lot of these players are not the people that he brought in. Like, a lot of these people aren't. Give him time, and more than Chelsea time, so more than 18 months. Yes, there are going to be ups and downs. Yes, it's not going to be perfect. Great example. Arsenal. They were shit the last couple seasons. Right? We always joked about during the COVID year, they had too many people on red cards, so they had to suspend a match or move it. Like, they weren't good. But they stuck with Mikel Arteta. I think he's on his 4th season, if I remember correctly.
I think.
But give it time. Like, find somebody, stick with them. If after 2, maybe 2.5 years, then yeah, you can look for a change. But you have to give the manager time to implement the players that he wants, the system that he wants, get them to all buy into everything that you're trying to do. And then you tack on a brand new ownership group that are willing to splash cash. Like, give him time. And he's investing very highly in the youth, which I'm a big fan of. You got to give it time. So do I believe in it? Yes. Would I say it's successful right now? No. But I think it's too small of a sample size to actually say whether or not it's going to be successful. But I do believe in it.
I don't know if I'd call it the Graham Potter project, because I don't know if he's going to be the one who's going to be seeing out the project. Yeah, he was my choice when Tuchel got fired, but yeah, I don't really know that I've seen enough out of Potter that he's gonna bear the fruit of all this youth that we're investing in. I think 18 months he's not doing it. Maybe he's gone, and that might just be me being I hate to say it, old school Chelsea at this point. So I don't believe in Potter, but I believe in the overarching project, the Bowley project. All right. So next up, from Just Call Me Deezy. I'd like to know Hector's favorite CONCACAF player that doesn't play for Mexico. And also, he wants to know if he should order that hot chip for you.
Favorite CONCACAF player, not from Mexico. I have to go with Davies. He's a good player, very good player for Bayern and for Canada as well. Good player, versatile on the wing. He can play either side of the wing, left back, wing back, or left wing. So very good player. And in terms of the hot chip, he can order it when he grows a couple inches so he can look me in the eye. Yeah, that's when he can order that chip.
I love it. Still starting wars.
I want all the smoke.
All right. So last question here comes from another former MKE Blues guest on our pod, and that's Scott. And he wants to know one player that you'd want on the Chelsea squad with money and contract being of no object.
I already talked about it, Mbappe, obviously, for sure. Well, let's forget about Mbappe. Let's try to, think about any other players, honestly, that I would like to see.
Would you want Ronaldo on Chelsea?
Get into deep waters, baby. Let's go. So, can he bring goals? Yes. Obviously, it's Ronaldo. If you don't think that, you're just stupid. No offense to anybody.
Matt.
No. Don't pull me into this.
Yes. I don't believe the whole, in my opinion, obviously I'm not there. I don't believe the whole dressing room issue is like, he tears apart dressing rooms. Like, bro, obviously he just didn't like how Ten Hag was running things, and he felt disrespected. Like, what do you want him to do? Just lay down and take it? Like, no. You're gonna feel some type of way, and obviously the media was all over it because he's Ronaldo. If it was any other player, they wouldn't be batting anything, But I don't know. Would I take him? Why not? We need goals, obviously. So give him like a year, or I don't know, something, and he can bang in goals. Nobody's going to say no to goals. It's not like the people that wouldn't want him wouldn't celebrate his goals. They'd be the first ones jumping up and down when he scores goals. So, why not? Maybe. That's just my opinion. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. But going to other players, I would like to see Leao. I think he's a good player from Portugal. I like Felix. I've always been a fan of Felix. I think they're asking for like 85 mil for him. I think he's a good player. I don't know. That's a tough one, but I wouldn't mind seeing him there. Our midfield is looking, obviously a little rough at times. We were supposed to go for the Mexican, Edson Alvarez. I would like to see him at Chelsea. I've been wanting to see him at Chelsea for a couple of years now, if I'm being honest. I think he's a good midfielder, retains the ball well, he's good defensively. He can play center back if needed. So if I had to pick like a Mexican player to go to Chelsea, it'd definitely be Alvarez for sure. Yeah, I think I better think about anybody else. No, I think those three, if I had to pick, Leao, Felix, and Alvarez, reinforce the wing, the forwards, and the midfield. I think they're good options, and I think Felix would probably be the most expensive one out of all of them. For sure. Alvarez being the cheapest, I think. They were asking for 45 mil. So I don't think that's a bad deal for a midfielder that can move around a lot. So, my opinion, those three, if I had to choose. Obviously, where he spoke about Mbappe. That's different, yeah.
Towns, what about you? Because I have a feeling I know where you're going.
I don't know if you do. Okay, I like the idea of just removing Mbappe from the conversation here. I'm going to go with his teammate. I'm going to go Neymar. I would love Neymar on this team. Left wing is
just not in March.
Left wing has been a crazy issue for this team for a couple of years now. And I think he solves that immediately. He can play either side, and I would love to see him on the left.
We have a god named Pulisic. Come on, man. What do you mean we've
dude, don't get me started on Pulisic. He can get out of here.
LeBron James of soccer, okay? Jesus Christ. I'm with you, Andy. I would like to see Neymar. Why not? I think he's a great winger, and he would bring a lot of flair to that wing for sure. What about you, Matt?
Who would I like to see? I mean, just so that I can own the jersey, I'd like to see Zlatan, but I know he's like 40. No. But that's just me trying to get a jersey. So if I could have a player, wow. I mean, like everybody that you mentioned, they're not bad options. Like Collins, but and even Ronaldo, I'm skeptical about, but I understand the goals that he can bring. I get all of that. I just don't know if his personality would mesh well with what we're trying to do as a team. That's kind of how I look at it. That aside, if I could bring in one player, I would be all in favor of Alphonso Davies. That would basically take care of our left wing back situation altogether. We've seen what he can do in the midfield. We've seen what he can do as a left back. I would personally be a big fan of that. If we were able to do that, I would, yes, please pull the trigger on it.
I like that, to be honest.
All right. Well, we do appreciate everyone's input from Twitter there. As always, if you got any questions for the pod, you can shoot us a DM or, really anything on social media. You can find us on all social media at FlagDownPod. And that is pushing us up against the hour mark. Ooh, Matt, that Padisha is starting to kick in here. So any closing thoughts here, boys?
Go ahead, Matt.
You take the wins when you can get them. And right now we'll take what we can get. So, you take the good with the bad. 3 points. Unfortunately, we had a slight injury. Hopefully it's not too bad, but 3 points is 3 points. So, we're going to be getting a bunch of players back too and developing the youth at the same time. So I'm excited to see what the new year holds for the boys.
Agreed. I agree with what Matt said. And I had a vision for the future next season. So here's how it's going to go down, boys. Let's face it, we're not going to make top four. All right, we're gonna go to the Europa League. Sweet Thursday nights. We're gonna go to the final, and then at the same time, Arsenal's they're gonna be thinking they're hot shit because they're back in the Champions League. But little do they know that they're gonna go crashing out in the group stage. So then we play them in the final of the Europa League in 2024, and then we beat them again. And then we're Europa League winners.
I love that.
I love all of that.
It's going to be a script. I already wrote it, man. It's going to happen. Open distance. It's recorded. It's going to happen.
Is that going to be a docuseries on Netflix?
The Showtime prophecy of Milwaukee Blues Chelsea story. There you go.
All about it. I'll be the first one to watch.
You heard it here first. I like it. Yep. All right. Well, let me pay some bills here before we cheers to all that. So if you've enjoyed what you listened to here today, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Again, especially on Spotify or Apple. If you're on there, make sure to give us 5 stars. Takes no more than 15 seconds, but it helps us more than you know. You can always follow us on social media. The podcast itself is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for @FlagDownPod. You can follow me, Andy. I'm at Comiskey North on Twitter. Matt is suspended at the moment.
for reasons unknown.
Yeah. Parker, in an unrelated note, is not on the pod tonight, but he's at DJ Parkour. And Hector, where can we find you?
You can find me at Showtime Ortega, capital S and O on Twitter, Instagram, MySpace even, Jesus. Yeah, you can follow me on there. I mean, if you just want to read my thoughts, go ahead. I have footballing thoughts as well. You can follow the Milwaukee Blues at MKE Blues on Twitter, and on Instagram as well. We have an Instagram. And yeah, come down to the pub, whenever you guys want to. We have a good time. We're not as obnoxious as other supporters groups, but we're there having a good time, having a couple of, beers, and yeah, come support the Chelsea. I know a lot of plastics are not there right now because we're doing right now, but hey, come support. That's what matters at the end, is having a good time with the people around you and supporting the Blues. So yeah.
And I know you guys, everybody at Highbury has my son addicted to going to Highbury, but and a 9-year-old at a bar. I'm just thankful that Joe lets him in the door.
That was Joe.
But, yeah.
Great guy.
But it's a good time on every match day. So like Hector said, make sure to come out and have a few drinks. Hopefully watch some wins here. So let's cheers to some wins and to to the Showtime prediction here.
Yeah, let me bring out my Premier League and USA mug. There you go.
Oh, amazing!
I love it.
I'm jealous.
I'm gonna have to get one of those.
Yeah, they mail it to me.
Yeah. All right, cheers, boys.
Cheers.
I'm all potted out.